right, so as we go over the kettlebell swing, I'm going to hit on a few different points. Each one I go over, I'd like you to pause the video and practice a few reps for me before you go to the next point. Fitness movements are kind of like a golf swing, where if I told you 5 things to fix and then you go and try to fix all 5, you'll probably not fix anything unless you're really impressive, which would be awesome. But anyways, first point that we're gonna go over is practicing keeping your shoulders back. So what I mean by that is as we come to the front of the swing, sometimes people tend to round forward. I don't want that forward round as we go through the swing. We want to make sure we're keeping our shoulders pulled back, shoulder blades together some, so that we can keep our back in a good position. So even if you don't have a weight, go ahead and practice a couple swings, keeping those shoulders back. And pause your video and go ahead and practice for me. Okay, point number 2. Next thing we're gonna work on is a good position for our legs. So as you come down in the swing, you don't want to treat it like a squat. Kettlebell swing, as I stated before, should be a posterior chain movement, and as soon as you start turning it into a squat, you're going to utilize your quads a lot more. So what I want to see is just that your knees stay over your laces. So that would look like this. Okay, so as I'm coming down to the bottom of the kettlebell swing, my knees are soft, slightly bent. I'm not locked out here. Knees are slightly bent. And then at the end, I'm gonna stand tall and then come right back. Cool, so knees, slight bend, extend, slight bend, extend. And that's what the movement should look like the whole time. We're never here. Point number 3. Number 3 is that we're gonna press into the ground. So what I mean by this is your feet shouldn't wobble back and forth. I want those feet to stay planted. If you find that you can't keep your toes or your heels on the ground through the movement, your weight is probably a little too heavy, and I'd recommend going a little lighter so that you can keep that whole foot pressed into the ground as you go through the movement. So then the other thing I mean by pressing into the ground is when we get to the top of the movement, we don't want to be here overextending, which people would tend to get on their toes a little bit there. So at the top, make sure you're just standing nice and tall. So we press the ground away, press the ground away, press the ground away as we go through our swings. Great, so that's the basics of a kettlebell swing. Hopefully you paused as you went and really got some practice of those things. Shoulders back, stand tall. Last thing I want to go over is just how to start your sets. So when you go to pick up the kettlebell is on the ground. The most efficient way that I found to do it, I guess there's 2 ways to do it, and I'll show you both of them. I do have a favorite though. So first, I'll show you my non-favorite, and then we can go over my favorite one. So non-favorite way is I pick up the kettlebell and then I go for my first swing. If that is the way you're most comfortable, great, it's perfectly safe, and as long as you get into a good position, you're golden. Next way is my personal favorite, just because I feel like it's much more efficient, is to have that kettlebell a little bit out in front of you. You're gonna set up kind of maybe like a football hike, although I'm not a football player, so correct me if I'm wrong. We're gonna set up like we're gonna hike a football, pull the kettlebell back towards yourself, and then go for that first swing. Okay, awesome. So have fun with your kettlebell swings. If you're not sure you're doing it correctly, feel free to send me a video, and I'm always happy to review your own form and give you any tips or advice that I have to do better. Have fun, guys.